The stars shimmered as the Velcron armada tore through the fabric of space itself. 500 massive warships emerged from hyperspace at the edge of a quiet solar system. Their hulls were dark metal, covered in weapons that had conquered 17 worlds without mercy. Commander Thulvar stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the blue planet slowly rotate on his viewing screen. Such a primitive world, he said with satisfaction. His data showed this planet was nothing special. The files called it Sector 7 Blue 3. The inhabitants were simple bipeds who barely understood space travel. They had primitive rockets and small stations. Nothing that could challenge the might of the Velcron Empire. Thulvar had done this many times before. Show up with overwhelming force, demand surrender, watch the weak creatures bow down. Sometimes they didn't even fight back. They just gave up when they saw his ships. It made conquest easy. It made him rich. It made him powerful. Send the standard message, he ordered his communication officer. Tell them they have 1 hour to surrender, or we will take their world by force. On the other side of the solar system, alarms screamed in the United Earth Defense Force orbital station. Lieutenant Kim Hana jumped from her chair as her screens lit up with red warnings. She had been monitoring deep space sensors for 3 years. Nothing had ever happened. Until now, Captain Park, she shouted. We have multiple contacts. Really big ones. They just appeared near Jupiter's orbit. Captain Park Deho rushed to her station. He was an older man with gray hair and scars on his face from the Mars War years ago. He looked at the readings and his expression turned dark. How many? 500 ships, sir. Maybe more. They're huge. Kim Hana's hands shook as she typed commands. They're moving toward Earth. Should I sound the alert? Park Deho didn't hesitate. Sound it. Full military alert. Wake up, everyone. Call Mars Colony. Call the moon base. Get Admiral Nam on the line right now. He grabbed the communication panel. This is Captain Park Deho of Defense Station Alpha. We are now at War Condition 1. Unknown hostile fleet approaching Earth. All military personnel to battle stations. Across Earth, Moon, and Mars, sirens began to wail. Soldiers ran to their posts. Fighter pilots scrambled to their ships. Civilians looked up at the sky with fear. After 200 years of peace in space, war had finally come to humanity. Private Kang Minho was sleeping in his bunk when the alarm went off. He was only 20 years old. This was his first real assignment after training. He had joined the military because his father had been a soldier. He never thought he would actually fight anyone. Space was peaceful now. Up, 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 his sergeant screamed, running through the barracks. This is not a drill. Grab your gear and get to defensive position 7. Minho's heart pounded as he pulled on his combat armor. His hands fumbled with the clasps. Other soldiers around him looked just as scared. They had trained for this, but training and reality were very different things. On the Velcron flagship, Commander Thulvar received a response much faster than expected. His communication officer looked confused. Sir, we're getting a reply already. It's from someone called Captain Park Deho. Put it on screen, Thulvar said. He expected to see a frightened leader begging for mercy. Instead, he saw a human face with cold eyes and a slight smile. The human spoke in clear galactic common language. This is Captain Park Deho of the United Earth Defense Force. You have entered our solar system with hostile intent. You have one chance to turn around and leave. If you do not leave, we will destroy you. Thulvar laughed. His officers laughed. The entire bridge crew laughed. This tiny creature thought it could threaten them? Human, Thulvar said with amusement. You do not understand your situation. We are the Velcron Empire. We have conquered worlds across this sector. Your primitive weapons cannot harm us. Surrender now and we will be merciful. Park Deho's smile grew wider. You picked the wrong neighborhood, alien. This is Earth, we don't surrender. The communication cut off. Thulvar stopped laughing. This was unusual. Normally, primitive species understood when they were beaten. They saw his fleet and gave up. But this human seemed confident. Too confident. Scan their defenses, Thulvar ordered. What weapons do they have? His tactical officer worked for several minutes. Sir, I'm detecting orbital platforms around their planet. Maybe 200 of them. Some satellites. They have a few ships, nothing bigger than cruiser class. Their moon has a military base. There's also a colony on the red planet with defensive capabilities. Thulvar waved his hand dismissively. Nothing we cannot handle. Move the fleet forward. Target their orbital platforms. Fire warning shots at 10 of them. Show them we mean business. The Velcran fleet moved deeper into the solar system, their weapons charged with deadly energy. Thulvar watched the blue planet get larger on his screen. Soon it would belong to the Empire. Soon he would be even richer. Admiral Nam Ji-wan appeared on Park Dae-ho's screen. She was a sharp woman in her 50s who had commanded Earth's military for 10 years. "Give me your assessment, Captain." "They're arrogant, Admiral," Park Dae-ho said. "They think we're primitive. They're not even being careful. Their formation is loose. They're treating this like a training exercise." Admiral Nam smiled coldly. "Good, let them think that." "How long until they're in range?" 20 minutes, ma'am. Then we wait. Let them fire first. Let them think they're winning. Then we show them what Earth really means." Admiral Nam's eyes were hard as steel. "Prepare all orbital defense platforms. Ready the moon batteries. Tell Mars to stand by." "And, Captain?" "Yes, Admiral. Make sure our first strike counts. We want them to understand immediately that they made a terrible mistake." Across the solar system, humanity prepared. Every weapon was armed. Every soldier was ready. Every ship was positioned. Earth had not fought a major war in space before, but humans had been fighting wars for thousands of years. It was something they were very, very good at. The Velcran fleet came within range. Thulvar gave the order. Fire warning shots. Then platforms. Destroy them. Energy beams lanced through space. They struck 10 orbital platforms around Earth. Explosions bloomed in the darkness. Thulvar nodded with satisfaction. "See, they are helpless. Send another message. Tell them," his words died in his throat. On his screen, something impossible was happening. The orbital platforms that remained were lighting up. Not 10, not 20, all 200 of them. And they weren't small defensive weapons. They were massive plasma cannons, railguns, and missile batteries. Evasive action. Thulvar screamed. But it was too late. Earth fired back. The response was immediate and devastating. Hundreds of weapons fired as one. The darkness of space turned bright with fury. Velcran shields flared and died. Armor melted. Ships exploded. In the first 30 seconds, 3 Velcran warships were completely destroyed. In the first minute, 10 more were critically damaged. The fleet that had conquered 17 worlds without a real fight was suddenly dying. Park Dae-ho watched from his station with grim satisfaction. "Welcome to Earth," he whispered. Commander Thulvar could not believe what he was seeing. His ships were burning. His invincible fleet was taking heavy damage from creatures he thought were primitive. Red alerts flashed across every screen on his bridge. Officers shouted damage reports. The sound of dying ships filled the communication channels. "Return fire! All ships return fire!" Thulvar roared. His fleet finally responded, unleashing their own weapons at the orbital platforms. Some platforms exploded under the assault. But for every one that died, 10 more kept firing. The humans had turned their entire planet into a fortress. "Sir, we're taking heavy losses," his tactical officer reported. 15 ships destroyed. 23 severely damaged. "We need to pull back." "Pull back?" Thulvar's voice was full of disbelief. He had never pulled back. Not once in his entire military career. But as another ship exploded on his screen, he realized he had no choice. "All ships retreat to maximum weapons range. Defensive formation Delta." The Velcran fleet limped backward, trying to escape the killing field. Earth's weapons followed them, hammering shields and armor. It took 20 minutes of running before they finally got out of effective range. Thulvar looked at his losses and felt something he had never felt before. Real fear. On Mars Colony, Dr. Choi Yuna watched the battle through her laboratory's monitors. She was a scientist, not a soldier. But she understood what this meant. The aliens had made a terrible mistake. They had attacked humanity without proper information. "Dr. Choi," her assistant called out, "we're receiving orders from Earth Command. They want us to analyze any alien debris we can recover. They need to know what we're fighting." Yuna nodded, already pulling up scanning data. "Get the mining ships ready. As soon as it's safe, we're going out there. I want pieces of those alien ships. I want their technology. I want to know everything about them." She zoomed in on the retreating alien fleet. Their ships were damaged but still functional. This wasn't over. This was just the beginning. And if humanity wanted to survive, they needed every advantage they could get. Back on Earth's orbital station, Captain Park Dae-ho was coordinating with other defensive positions. His shoulder hurt from an old wound that always acted up during stress, but he ignored the pain. "Moonbase, what's your status?" "Ready to fire, sir," came the reply. "We have clear shots at their rear formations. Hold your fire. Let's see what they do next. Park Dae-ho pulled up the tactical display. Lieutenant Kim, have you identified their command ship? Kim Hana pointed at the largest vessel in the center of the alien formation. That one, sir. It's 3 times bigger than the others. All their communications are routing through it. Good work, mark it. If they attack again, that's our primary target. Across the fleet, the Velcran commander was accessing his database with shaking hands. Something was wrong. Very wrong. The file on this planet said it was primitive. He searched through the records, going deeper into the archive. Then he found it. An old notation that made his blood run cold. The planet's actual name was Earth, not Sector 7 Blue 3. Earth. That name triggered warning protocols in the Velcran military system. Protocols that had been ignored because of poor organization and corruption in the Empire's bureaucracy. The last survey of this world was done 300 years ago. 300 years. Thulvar pulled up the old survey report. The scout ship had visited when the humans were using primitive steam engines. They had recommended marking the planet as low priority, not worth conquering yet. Come back in a few thousand years when they might be interesting. But no one had come back. No one had updated the file. The Empire had simply forgotten about Earth. And in 300 years, humanity had gone from steam power to space stations, plasma weapons, and interstellar colonies. They had advanced faster than any species in recorded history. Commander, his science officer said quietly, I've analyzed their weapons technology. It's not primitive at all. Some of it is more advanced than ours. Their computers are faster. Their targeting systems are more accurate. Their power generation is more efficient. Thulvar felt sick. He had led his fleet into a trap based on old information. He had assumed these creatures were weak. He had made the worst mistake a military commander could make. He had underestimated his enemy. Send a message to the Empire, he said quietly. Tell them we need reinforcements. A lot of reinforcements. Private Kang Minho huddled in his defensive position on Earth's surface. He could see the explosions in orbit through his position's viewing port. The aliens had tried to land ground forces in Seoul before retreating. Minho's unit had been one of the groups that stopped them. It had been terrifying. The alien soldiers were bigger than humans, with armor that looked very advanced. But they moved slowly, like they expected easy victory. Minho's sergeant had screamed at them to fire everything they had. Railguns, missiles, even old-fashioned bullets. The aliens had shields, but concentrated fire brought them down. Minho had killed 3 of them himself. He was shaking so hard afterward that he couldn't hold his weapon. But they had won. His unit had held their position. The aliens had retreated to their ships, leaving their dead behind. Now engineers and scientists were all over the crash sites, taking everything they could. Weapons, armor, computer systems, anything that might help humanity understand their enemy. On the moon base, engineer Lee Junho was having an idea. He had been a civilian spacecraft mechanic before the war. Now he was in uniform, helping maintain the military ships, but he had noticed something. The civilian mining ships had powerful drilling lasers and heavy-duty engines. They weren't warships, but they could be. Sir, he approached his commanding officer, what if we modify the mining fleet? Add weapons. Reinforce the hulls. They're not pretty, but they're tough. We could have 30 more combat-capable ships in a few days. The officer looked at him like he was crazy, then slowly smiled. Do it. Use whatever resources you need. If those aliens come back, we'll need every ship we can get. Admiral Nam Jiwon was in a conference with Earth's president and military leaders. The first battle was over, but everyone knew more would come. The question was how much time they had. Dr. Choi sent her initial analysis, Admiral Nam said, pulling up a holographic display. The alien technology is actually inferior to ours in several key areas. Their ships are bigger but less efficient. Their weapons are powerful but less accurate. Their computers are slower. Then why did they think they could conquer us? Asked President Shin Mirai. Because they've never faced real resistance before, Admiral Nam replied. According to the intelligence we pulled from crashed ships, they conquer through intimidation. They show up with a big fleet, and most species immediately surrender. They've won every war they fought without really fighting. But humans don't surrender, said General An Taejin. No, Admiral Nam agreed. We don't. Which means they've never faced an enemy like us. We've been fighting wars for our entire history. We know tactics, strategy, and adaptability. They know how to bully weak opponents. There's a big difference. The room was quiet for a moment. Then President Shin spoke. How long until they come back? 3 weeks. Maybe a month. They'll send for their main battle fleet. It will be much bigger than what we just fought. Admiral Nam's expression was serious. We hurt them today, but they're not defeated. When they come back, they'll be prepared. They'll be angry, and they'll want revenge. Then we have 3 weeks to get ready, President Shin said firmly. 3 weeks to build more weapons, more ships, more defenses. 3 weeks to show them that Earth doesn't just fight back. Earth fights to win. Across human space, the mobilization began. Factories that made civilian goods switched to making weapons. Shipyards worked around the clock. Scientists studied captured alien technology. Soldiers trained. Civilians prepared for the worst. Captain Park Dae-ho looked out at the stars from his orbital station. Somewhere out there, the aliens were regrouping, planning their next attack, calling for help from their empire. Let them come, he said to Lieutenant Kim Hana, who was standing beside him. Let them bring their entire fleet. They still don't understand what they're facing. They don't know human history. They don't know that we've survived ice ages, plagues, world wars, and asteroid impacts. This planet has tried to kill us 1,000 times, and we're still here. Kim Hana nodded. They picked the wrong planet to attack. They did, Park Dae-ho agreed. They should have checked the planet's name. They should have done better research. They should have known that when you attack Earth, Earth doesn't surrender. He smiled grimly. Earth buries you. 3 weeks passed in a blur of activity. Earth had never seen anything like it. Every factory, every shipyard, every research facility worked day and night. People who had been enemies before now worked together. Old conflicts were forgotten. Humanity had one goal now: survive. Dr. Choi Yuna barely slept during those 3 weeks. Her team on Mars had recovered significant pieces of alien technology from the first battle. What they discovered was both encouraging and frightening. The aliens were not as advanced as humanity had feared, but they had numbers. Lots of numbers. Look at this, she told her assistant, pointing at a holographic display of an alien engine. It's crude but effective. They don't innovate. They just use the same designs over and over. It's like they stopped trying to improve centuries ago. Why would they do that? Her assistant asked. Because they never needed to improve, Yuna replied. When you win every fight easily, you don't develop better weapons. You don't need to think creatively. That's their weakness. They're predictable. She sent her reports to Earth Command. Admiral Nam read them with great interest. Predictable enemies were easier to fight than creative ones. If humanity could outthink the aliens, they could win despite being outnumbered. Captain Park Dae-ho led a risky mission during the second week. His idea was simple but dangerous. The alien fleet was still in the outer solar system, regrouping and waiting for reinforcements. Park wanted to raid them before they were ready. We'll take 5 fast ships, he explained to his crew. We go in hard and fast, target their command ship, grab as much data as we can from their computers. Then we run before they can respond. Lieutenant Kim Hana volunteered immediately. I'm going with you, sir. You'll need someone to hack their systems. The mission launched at midnight Earth time. 5 small, fast human ships accelerated toward the alien fleet at maximum speed. They used stealth technology that Dr. Choi's team had improved based on alien designs. The Velkrans didn't detect them until it was too late. Park's ship rammed into the command vessel's docking bay. Marines poured out, fighting through surprised alien defenders. Kim Hana ran to the bridge with a squad of soldiers protecting her. She jammed a computer spike into their main terminal and started downloading everything. Alarms howled. More aliens arrived. The fighting got intense, but Kim's download finished. Got it, she screamed. Let's go. They ran back to the ship, leaving behind smoke and bodies. As they disengaged, the alien fleet finally woke up. Weapons fire chased them. 1 human ship was destroyed, but 4 made it back to Earth with the most valuable cargo possible: information. The data was incredible. It contained the entire Velkran military database, fleet positions, ship specifications, communication codes. But most importantly, it contained history. The history of every species the Velkrans had conquered. Admiral Nam studied the files with growing understanding. They've conquered 47 different species, she said to her staff. And not one of them fought back effectively. Most surrendered immediately. The few that resisted were crushed quickly because they didn't understand warfare. They had never fought before. But we have, said General Antajan. He was studying the tactical data. Humans have been fighting wars for thousands of years. We understand strategy, tactics, and logistics. We know how to take losses and keep fighting. These aliens don't. We have another advantage, Admiral Nam continued. They fight to conquer. We fight to survive. Those are very different motivations. They want our planet. We want to stay alive. Who do you think will fight harder? The room was silent. Everyone knew the answer. A human fighting for their home was the most dangerous thing in the universe. President Shin Mirai gave a speech that was broadcast across all human colonies. She stood in front of the ruins of a building in Seoul that had been damaged in the first attack. Behind her, construction crews were already rebuilding it. The aliens think they can break us, she said. Her voice was strong and clear. They think one attack will make us surrender. They don't understand humans. We have survived everything this universe has thrown at us. Ice ages, asteroids, plagues, wars that killed millions. We are still here. We always survive, and we always rebuild. She pointed at the construction crews. Look at them. The aliens attacked us 3 weeks ago. We're already fixing what they broke. When they come back, they'll find us stronger than before, because that's what humans do. We adapt, we overcome, we endure. The speech went viral. It was translated into every human language. People watched it and felt hope. Children watched it and felt pride. Soldiers watched it and felt ready. Engineer Lee Junho finished his conversion project. 30 civilian mining ships were now armed and armored. They looked ugly compared to proper warships, but they were tough. Mining ships were built to survive asteroid collisions and solar radiation. With weapons added, they became formidable. They're not pretty, Lee told Admiral Nam during an inspection, but they'll take a beating and keep fighting, just like the people who built them. Admiral Nam approved the design. We'll call them the Terran-class defense ships, and we'll build 100 more if we have time. Private Kang Minho was training with his unit every day. After surviving the first ground battle, he was no longer the scared recruit. He was harder now, more focused. His sergeant noticed the change. You did good, kid, the sergeant told him. But don't get cocky. The first battle was them being careless. Next time they'll be ready. Next time will be harder. Minho nodded. He knew. He had seen footage of the alien main fleet. It was massive. 500 ships were joining the 200 that had attacked before. 700 alien warships against humanity's smaller fleet. The numbers were not good, but numbers weren't everything. Minho had learned that in training. His instructors had taught him about old Earth battles where smaller forces defeated larger ones through skill, planning, and determination. The Battle of Thermopylae, the Battle of Agincourt, the Battle of Midway. Humans had a long history of winning against bad odds. New defensive satellites were being launched around Earth every day. The moon base expanded its weapon systems. Mars Colony built underground bunkers to protect civilians. Every asteroid in the belt was surveyed for possible defensive positions. Humanity was turning its entire solar system into a fortress. Captain Park Dae-ho recovered from his wounds and returned to duty. His shoulder was stiff, but he could still command. He reviewed the tactical plans with Admiral Nam and General An. They'll come straight at Earth, Park predicted. They're angry now. They want revenge. They won't be careful or clever. They'll just try to overwhelm us with numbers. Good, said General An. Angry enemies make mistakes. We can use that. We'll set up multiple defensive lines, Admiral Nam explained, pointing at a holographic map of the solar system. First line at Jupiter's orbit. Second line at the asteroid belt. Third line at Mars. Fourth line at the moon. And final defense at Earth itself. We'll make them fight for every meter of space when we're... What about offense? Park asked. We can't just defend. We need to hurt them, Admiral Nam smiled. Oh, we'll hurt them. We have something they don't expect. We have squadrons willing to make suicide runs if necessary. We have pilots who will ram their ships into alien capital ships if that's what it takes to win. That's human, Admiral Nam replied, and that's why we'll win. On the far side of the solar system, the Velcran reinforcements arrived. Supreme Admiral Kreshnal commanded the main battle fleet. He was old, experienced, and had never lost a battle in his long career. He read Commander Thulvar's reports with disgust. You let primitive creatures hurt you, he said coldly. You embarrassed the Empire. I am here to fix your mistake. Supreme Admiral, these humans are not primitive, Thulvar protested. They are dangerous. They have advanced weapons and... Silence, Kreshnal roared. I have conquered 20 worlds. I know warfare. These creatures may have gotten lucky once, but luck runs out. We will crush them with overwhelming force. Prepare the fleet. We attack in 1 week. Thulvar wanted to argue more. He wanted to explain that the humans were different. But he knew Kreshenal would not listen. The Supreme Admiral was arrogant. He thought victory was certain. That arrogance, Thulvar realized with growing dread, might be what killed them all. 1 week later, long-range sensors detected the alien fleet beginning its approach. 700 warships accelerated toward Earth. It was the largest fleet the Velcran Empire had ever assembled for a single target. They expected an easy victory. Admiral Nam watched them come. She stood on the bridge of Earth's flagship, surrounded by her best officers. Captain Park was at Tactical. Lieutenant Kim was at Communications. General An was coordinating ground forces. Dr. Choi was ready with technical support from Mars. Engineer Lee was commanding the converted mining ships. "They're coming," Admiral Nam said quietly, just like we predicted. "They're angry. They're arrogant. And they still don't understand what Earth means." She activated the fleet-wide communication channel. Every human ship, station, and defensive platform heard her voice. "This is Admiral Nam Jiwan. The enemy is coming. They think they will win because they have more ships. They are wrong. We will win because we have something they don't. We have Earth. We have each other. And we have something to fight for. Let's show these aliens why you never attack humanity's home." The Velcran Grand Fleet entered the asteroid belt like a hammer falling on glass. 700 warships moved in perfect formation, their weapons ready, their shields at maximum power. Supreme Admiral Kreshenal sat on his command throne, confident in his inevitable victory. "Sir, we're detecting some debris in the asteroid field," his sensor officer reported. "Old mining equipment mostly. Some abandoned stations." "Ignore it," Kreshenal ordered. "Maintain formation. Continue toward the blue planet." What he didn't know was that those abandoned stations weren't abandoned. They were hidden weapon platforms disguised to look like old mining equipment. Inside each one, human soldiers waited with their fingers on the triggers. Captain Park Daeho watched from his ship, positioned behind a large asteroid. He could see the alien fleet passing through the belt. "Almost," he whispered. "Almost there. Wait for it." The Velcran fleet moved deeper into the belt. They were focused on Earth ahead of them, not on the rocks around them. It was a fatal mistake now, Park screamed. 300 hidden platforms activated simultaneously. The asteroids themselves seemed to explode with weapon fire. Plasma cannons, railguns, and missiles erupted from every direction. The alien formation, so perfect moments ago, became chaos. Velcran ships tried to evade, but they were too close together. Collisions happened. Shields overlapped and interfered with each other. Weapons fire came from above, below, and all sides. It was an ambush executed with perfect timing. Evasive action. "Return fire," Kreshenal roared, gripping his command throne. Around him, his bridge crew worked frantically. Explosions lit up the view screens. How did they hide so many weapons? Supreme Admiral Kreshenal's tactical officer shouted over the alarms. "They used our own sensor blindness against us. The asteroids block our long-range scanners. They knew we wouldn't scan each individual rock." The first wave of the ambush lasted 10 minutes. When it ended, 40 Velcran ships were destroyed or critically damaged. The rest of the fleet escaped the belt, but their perfect formation was broken. They were angry now. Really angry. "Continue the attack," Kreshenal ordered through clenched teeth. "All ships proceed to the Red Planet. Destroy any human presence there." But Mars was ready. Dr. Choi Yuna and the colonists had prepared for this moment. The colony's defensive systems activated, but the Velcrans had learned. This time they stayed at long range and bombarded Mars from a distance. Explosions rocked the colony. Buildings collapsed. Alarms screamed. Dr. Choi worked frantically in her laboratory even as the ceiling shook above her. She was racing to complete her secret weapon. A computer virus designed specifically for Velcran systems. "I need 5 more minutes," she shouted at her assistant over the sound of impacts. "Keep the power running." "The main reactor is failing," her assistant screamed back. "We need to evacuate." "No, not yet." Yuna's fingers flew across her keyboard. The virus was almost complete. Just a few more lines of code. Just a little more time. A massive explosion shook the entire facility. The lights went out. Emergency power kicked in. Yuna finished the last line of code and hit enter. "Done. Send it to Earth Command. Now." Her assistant transmitted the file just as another explosion hit closer. "Sent, we need to go now." They ran toward the evacuation tunnels as Mars' colony burned around them. Behind them, her laboratory collapsed. But the virus was safe. It was uploaded, and it would change everything. Above Mars, Pilot Officer Yoon Sora led her fighter squadron in a desperate attack. Her hometown on Earth had been damaged in the first battle. She had lost family. She had lost friends. Now she wanted revenge. "All wings, follow me," she commanded. Her squadron consisted of 20 fighters against hundreds of capital ships. The odds were impossible. She didn't care. "Target their engine sections. We're going to hurt them." The small human fighters were fast and hard to hit. They dove through the alien formation like angry wasps, firing their weapons at critical points. Sora herself damaged 3 ships before her fighter took a hit. Her controls sparked and smoked. "Sora, eject!" Her wingmen screamed over the radio. "Your ship is dying." Sora looked at the alien battlecruiser ahead of her. Her weapons were dead. Her engines were failing. But she still had one option. She aimed her dying fighter at the battlecruiser's bridge and hit full thrust. "For Earth," she whispered. Her fighter impacted at incredible speed. The explosion was visible from the surface of Mars. The battlecruiser spun out of control. Its bridge destroyed, its command crew dead. Sora had traded her life for 400 alien lives. It was a trade she made gladly. Her squadron saw what she did. They saw their commander sacrifice herself, and they became demons. They stopped being careful. They stopped worrying about survival. They just attacked with pure fury. 3 more pilots made suicide runs. Each one took an alien ship with them. The Velcran fleet pulled back from Mars, bloody and shaken. They had damaged the colony, but they had paid a terrible price. And the humans were still fighting. Sergeant Bae Hyunwoo was part of a special forces team that had been training for one specific mission: board enemy ships and capture them. It was considered a crazy idea by most people. But special forces didn't care about crazy. They cared about effective. "Remember the training," Bae told his team as their assault ship approached a damaged Velcran cruiser. "Fast and violent. They won't expect borders. We use that surprise. Get in, kill everything that resists, capture the ship's core computer, and get out." The assault ship latched onto the alien hull. Cutting torches burned through the armor. Bae's team poured through the hole, weapons firing. The aliens inside were unprepared for humans to actually board their ship. It seemed insane to them, suicidal. But humans were very good at suicidal tactics. Bae's team moved through the ship like a knife through water. They killed anyone who fought back and knocked out anyone who surrendered. In 20 minutes, they reached the core computer. "Get it," Bae shouted. His tech specialist jammed a spike into the alien computer and started copying everything. Behind them, more aliens were coming. Bae's team set up defensive positions and held the corridor. 30 seconds, the tech specialist shouted. Alien weapons fire filled the corridor with energy. Bae's shields took multiple hits. One of his soldiers went down, then another. But they held the line. "Done. We got it. Fall back." Bae grabbed the wounded soldiers and dragged them back to the assault ship. They made it out just as the alien reinforcements arrived. The assault ship disengaged and raced back to human lines carrying its precious cargo. Another complete copy of Velcran military computers. Supreme Admiral Kreshnal was beginning to understand what Commander Thulvar had tried to tell him. These humans were different. They didn't fight like any species he had encountered before. They were creative. They were aggressive. And they seemed to have no fear of death. He pulled up the old files on Earth that had been ignored. What he read made his blood run cold. The humans had been fighting wars for their entire history. Major wars, wars that killed millions. They had weapons that could destroy their own planet, and they had almost used them several times. What kind of species threatens to destroy their own world? He asked his staff in disbelief. A species that would rather die than surrender. His tactical officer replied quietly. Kreshnal read more. The humans had fought 2 massive global wars within 50 years of each other. They had developed nuclear weapons and immediately used them. They had diseases that killed millions and they conquered them. They had famines and disasters and they survived them all. Earth wasn't a primitive planet. It was a nightmare world that produced nightmare creatures, and he had invaded it. "Sir, the humans are transmitting something," his communication officer said. "It's on all frequencies. It's some kind of code." Kreshnal was about to order it blocked when every computer system in his fleet went crazy. Screens flickered. Controls stopped responding. Weapon systems went offline. Shield generators failed. What's happening? He screamed. Dr. Choi's virus had been transmitted from Earth. It used the Velcran fleet's own communication network against them. Every ship that received the transmission got infected, and the infection spread like wildfire. Half the Velcran fleet went dark. Their systems crashed. Their weapons failed. They drifted in space, helpless. Reboot everything, Kreshenal ordered. Cut all network connections. Isolate each ship. But it was too late. The virus had done its job, and now the human fleet was moving in for the kill. Admiral Nam watched the alien fleet descend into chaos and smiled. All ships advance. Target the infected vessels. Destroy them while they're helpless. The human fleet surged forward. Commander Ojisu led the attack in her ship, the Indomitable. It was one of the newest human warships, fast and deadly. She took her ship through the alien formation at full speed, weapons blazing. Helmsman, bring us through their center line, she commanded. Weapons, fire everything. The Indomitable carved through the alien fleet like a blade. Behind her, more human ships followed. The aliens tried to fight back, but half their fleet was offline and the other half was panicking. Private Kang Minho watched from Earth's surface as the battle lit up the sky. His unit was ready to fight if any aliens made it to the ground. But something told him this battle wouldn't reach Earth. The humans were winning. Actually winning. On the 6th day of the battle, something broke in the Velcran fleet. It wasn't their ships or their weapons. It was their will. Supreme Admiral Kreshenal watched another 10 ships explode and realized the truth. He was going to lose. For the first time in his long military career, he was going to lose. Sir, we've lost over 300 ships, his tactical officer reported with a shaking voice. Our fleet is falling apart. Morale is collapsing. Ship captains are requesting permission to retreat. Kreshenal wanted to refuse. He wanted to keep fighting. But he looked at his screens and saw the reality. The human fleet was smaller, but it was still fighting. Still attacking. Still coming. They never stopped. They never slowed down. They just kept coming like a force of nature. We need to withdraw, his second-in-command said quietly. If we stay, they will destroy us all. Kreshenal felt something he had never felt before. Defeat. Complete, total defeat. All ships, he said heavily. Prepare to retreat, but Admiral Nam wasn't going to let them go that easily. All units pursue, she commanded. Don't let them regroup. Hit them while they're running. The human fleet chased the Velcrans across the solar system. More alien ships died trying to escape. It became a massacre. The proud Velcran Grand Fleet, which had conquered so many worlds, was being hunted like prey. Commander Ojisu pursued the alien command ship with grim determination. The Indomitable had taken heavy damage during the 6 days of fighting. Half her crew was dead. Her weapons were failing. Her engines were overheating. But she refused to stop. Ma'am, we need to fall back, her first officer said. The ship can't take much more. Ojisu looked at her target. The alien command ship was damaged but still trying to escape. If it got away, the admiral in charge would return with another fleet. This had to end now. No, she said. We end this. All power to engines. Ram them. Captain, that's suicide. I know. Ojisu smiled sadly. She thought about her family back on Earth. She thought about all the people who had died in this war. But if I can take that ship down, I save thousands of lives in the future. It's a good trade. Her crew looked at each other. Then one by one, they nodded. They strapped into their stations. The helmsman set the course. The engineer pushed the engines beyond their limits. The Indomitable accelerated toward the alien command ship. Kreshenal saw her coming and tried to evade, but his damaged ship was too slow. The human ship hit like a meteor. The impact was devastating. Both ships exploded in a ball of fire that could be seen from Earth. Commander Ojisu died instantly. So did her crew. So did Supreme Admiral Kreshenal and most of his command staff. The two ships became a combined wreck, tumbling through space. Admiral Nam watched the explosion and felt a mix of victory and sadness. Another brave captain gone. Another good crew lost. Mark Commander Ojisu for posthumous honors, she said quietly. She saved us all. With their command ship destroyed and their Supreme Admiral dead, the remaining Velcran fleet collapsed completely. Some ships tried to surrender. Others just ran. A few kept fighting until they were destroyed. By the end of the 6th day, it was over. Captain Park Dae-ho limped his ship back to Earth's orbital station. His vessel was barely functional. He had been wounded again, this time worse than before. But he was alive, and Earth was safe. Lieutenant Kim Hana helped him to the medical bay. "We did it, sir," she said. "We won, did we?" Park looked at the casualty reports. Thousands of humans dead, dozens of ships destroyed, Mars colony heavily damaged. "This doesn't feel like winning. But we survived," Kim said firmly. "And they didn't. That's what winning looks like when you're fighting for your home." On Mars, Dr. Choi Yuna emerged from the evacuation tunnels. The colony was damaged but not destroyed. Her laboratory was gone, but she was alive. And her virus had worked. It had changed the entire battle. "Dr. Choi," someone called out. It was Admiral Nam on a video call. "Your virus saved thousands of lives. Because of you, we won." Yuna felt tears on her face. She had done it. Her work had mattered. "What happens now, Admiral?" "Now?" Admiral Nam looked tired but satisfied. "Now we rebuild, and we prepare. Because after this battle, the entire galaxy is going to know about Earth. Some will respect us. Others will fear us. Either way, they'll leave us alone." Engineer Lee Junho was working on a damaged ship when he heard the news. The war was over. Humanity had won. He sat down heavily and started crying. He had lost so many friends during the fighting. So many good people were gone, but Earth survived. That was what mattered. Earth always survived. Private Kang Minho's unit was standing down from combat readiness when Sergeant Bae Hyunwoo's team returned from their final mission. Bae looked exhausted. His armor was scorched and dented, but he was smiling. "We got the alien command codes," Bae announced. "We boarded another ship and took everything. Their fleet movements, their base locations, their communication protocols, everything. Because there are 47 other species enslaved by the Velcran Empire," Bae replied. "And now we know where they are. Now we can help them." President Shin Mirai addressed the people of Earth 3 days after the battle ended. She stood in front of the memorial being built for those who died. Her face showed the weight of leadership but also hope. "We have won a great victory," she said, "but we must remember the cost. Thousands of our people died defending our home. Their sacrifice will never be forgotten. We will build memorials. We will tell their stories. We will make sure future generations know what they did for us." She paused, looking at the camera with intense eyes. "But this is not the end. This is the beginning. The Velcran Empire enslaves dozens of species across this region of space. They need our help. And we will help them, because that's what humans do. We don't just defend our own. We defend those who cannot defend themselves." The speech was met with mixed reactions. Some people wanted to focus on rebuilding Earth. Others wanted revenge against the Velcran Empire. But most agreed with the president. Humanity couldn't just hide. They had to help others who suffered under alien tyranny. Admiral Nam began organizing humanitarian missions to the enslaved worlds. She sent small fleets with supplies, weapons, and training. Human advisors taught other species how to resist, how to fight back, how to be free. The Velcran Empire received the battle recordings from the few surviving ships. Their ruling council watched in horror as their greatest fleet was destroyed by a species they thought was primitive. They sent a message to Earth asking for peace. President Shin's response was simple. "Free all the species you have enslaved. Dismantle your military. Accept monitoring from neutral parties. Do this and we will have peace. Refuse and we will come to you. And you have seen what happens when you fight Earth." The Velcran Empire agreed to all terms. They had no choice. They had seen what humans could do. They didn't want humans coming to their homeworld. 5 years passed. Earth rebuilt. The scars of battle slowly healed. New buildings rose where old ones had fallen. New ships launched from expanded shipyards. The solar system became even more fortified than before. Captain Park Dae-ho retired from active duty. His wounds never fully healed and he was getting old. But he became an instructor at the Earth Naval Academy, teaching young officers about tactics and strategy. His favorite lesson was always the same. Never underestimate your enemy, but also never underestimate yourself. Lieutenant Kim Hana was promoted to commander and given her own ship. She specialized in intelligence operations, using her skills to help freed species build their own defenses against future threats. Dr. Choi Yuna continued her research, but now she focused on medical technology. She used what she learned from Velcran biology to develop new treatments for human diseases. She saved as many lives in peace as she had in war. Engineer Lee Junho became the chief designer for Earth's defense fleet. His converted mining ships had proven so effective that he designed an entire new class of warships based on the same principles. Tough, simple, and effective, Sergeant Bae Hyunwoo spent 5 years training resistance fighters on liberated worlds. He taught them human tactics, human determination, human stubbornness. Never give up, he told them. That's the most important lesson. Never ever give up. Private Kang Minho, no longer a private, became a sergeant himself. He trained new recruits at the same base where he had once been scared and uncertain. He told them about the war, about the fear, about the courage. You'll be scared, he told them honestly. Everyone is scared. But being brave doesn't mean not being scared. It means fighting anyway. 10 years after the battle, Earth held a ceremony at the memorial. Thousands gathered to remember those who died. President Shin, now much older, gave a speech. 10 years ago, aliens attacked our home, she said. They thought we were weak. They thought we would surrender. They were wrong. We fought back, we won, but more importantly, we helped others win their freedom too. Today, 47 species live free because humans refused to give up. That is our legacy. Not just that we defended Earth, but that we used our strength to help others. Commander Thulvar, the Velcran officer who had led the first attack, attended the ceremony. He had been captured during the battle and chose to stay on Earth rather than return home. He worked as a liaison between humans and former Velcran subjects, helping rebuild what his empire had destroyed.